What's going on YouTube? It's Tom here and we're back with another steel testing video today. Today we'll be doing Chinese D2 versus American D2. This one's going to be a little bit interesting. So if you guys don't listen to Knife Nuts podcast, they are always talking about China D2. It's one of their things. So I picked up a knife here in China D2. This Ethan Grow, I don't know what the model is. Basically to find it, all I did was go on Amazon and search D2 knife, and I picked the least expensive one. They have a bunch of other models, and unfortunately they're mostly clones of American brands like ZT. But I picked up this one because it didn't copy any brand that I knew of. This looked like it was their own design, but anyhow. We sharpened both up to 18 degrees per side, as always, with the 20 degree micro bevel from the Spyderco Sharp Maker. So a lot of people don't believe that the knives that are made overseas that are labeled as D2 are actually D2. And there's probably a good reason for that. There's been a lot of tests on, some of the more inexpensive brands, and it doesn't match up to the D2 that we have here in the US as far as the metallurgy side of it goes. Normally they're missing vanadium from what I've seen. Like I know the steel will stuff is missing vanadium, but other than that it's the exact same. But anyhow, I don't know if this is actually D2. All I know is from sharpening that the Ethan Grow right here sharpened up a little bit easier, but it definitely wasn't like HCR easy. So between the two, I absolutely hate sharpening D2, by the way. It's one of my least favorite steels to sharpen. I don't know why it takes me so long. I'd much rather sharpen something like M4. It seems to move a little bit quicker for me. But between the two knives, it took up about 3 hours, and a good 2 hours of it was the HK here, which is made by Benchmade, if you guys don't know. It's obviously a discontinued knife at this point. They don't make the HK line anymore. But yeah, they're both in D2. They're both labeled as D2. The Ethan Grow here has it labeled right there on the back, and the HK Benchmade has it labeled right there behind the thumb stud. So as you guys can probably see, the HK has been pretty heavily used. So we're definitely into the good steel. I have no doubts about that. The Ethan Grow, on the other hand, though, was a brand new knife. So what I did is I sharpened it and just kept flipping the burr back and forth to simulate multiple sharpenings. I probably flipped the burr a good 10 times or so just to try and simulate multiple sharpenings to try and get to the good steel. Let's talk a little bit about D2 here. It's been around since World War II, which is, it's a super old steel. Neither one of these are CPM D2, which is the particle metallurgy version of it. These are both just ingot steels, so you're not getting the added bonus of it being a particle metallurgy as far as, enhancing the properties at all. I won't go over the entire composition, but I'll put the graph up on the screen right now. Just the notable stuff is 1.5 to 1.6% carbon, 0.9 to 1.1% vanadium, 11.5 to 12% chromium, and 0.6 to 0.9% moly. Very small amounts of manganese, phosphorus, sulfur, and silicon. D2 seems to be pretty popular these days. A lot of budget brands are beginning to use it as an alternative to HCR 13, AUS 8, that kind of stuff. It's semi-stainless, right at that 11.5, 12% mark. You need 12 or 13% chromium to be stainless, depending on who you ask. I'm actually not sure how much free chromium is actually available in D2, just because I know that chromium, or the carbides in D2 are mostly chromium carbides with a little bit of vanadium. That's what gives the steel its edge retention. So I'm not sure how much free chromium is there to actually promote stainlessness. As far as the measurements for these two go, the HK is definitely a hell of a lot thicker. It's a more beastly overbuilt knife. It's a saber grind, only about 3/4 inch, or about a 3/4 flat grind here on the HK, and it's a full flat grind on the Ethan Grow, which is going to help as far as geometry goes. The HK stock is 0.14 inches. The Ethan Grow stock is 0.11 inches. Behind the edge, the HK is 30 thousandths, which is absolutely thick as shit. The Ethan Grow is 19 thousandths behind the edge. So based on that, I wish I had two knives that were a little bit more similar as far as the dimensions go. but I feel like the Even Grow will probably benefit from that a little bit, and the HK is definitely going to suffer a little bit from the poor geometry there. You can also see just how much bigger the bevel is on the HK here as opposed to the Even Grow. It's really noticeable just how much thinner behind the edge the Even Grow actually is. So my theory on the way these two steels would perform is I thought the HK would do about 60% better, just because I'm not totally sure if the Even Grow was actually D2. It sharpened up similarly to D2, but not quite like the HK did. As well as there being speculations about these cheap Chinese knives that are labeled as D2 not actually being that. I really didn't have high hopes for it. I figured it'd probably come in right around the 8CR mark. I was figuring that's probably what the steel is. So I went ahead and cut a bunch of cardboard, taped off. I normally tape off the back section here so I have something to restart on. I don't like having the tape here at the front. I feel like it just falls off most of the time. What I do is I'll put that single strip of masking or painter's tape back here, so I have something that I know where I'm cutting at. I cut right at the base of that painter's tape. You guys can see that in the video. But basically we cut cardboard until it can no longer cut computer paper cleanly. And the results were actually pretty similar. So the Even Grow cut 137.02 feet, which really isn't too bad. That's right around the mark of BD1, I believe, just a hair below BD1, and is actually below or above the CPM 154 in that Hogue micro flip that I did. The HK did 163.17 feet, which is kind of what I expected. I mean, that's a better result than I expected. I didn't think it would be quite that good. That's kind of close to VG10, I believe. But it did better than I thought as far as geometry goes. I think the results are only this close because of geometry. I definitely think the HK geometry definitely hurt it quite a bit, being that thick behind the edge. There was definitely a lot more force to get the cut started. I think that definitely dulled the edge quite a bit quicker. That's a 16% advantage to the HK, by the way. So it's significant, but it's not a crazy amount. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. Subscribe to continue to see more content just like this video right here. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.